Today's class, we were trying to discuss on what is called as a knocking. See, knocking, I told knocking in IC engine. I didn't specifically tell what it is. So, knocking in IC engine is mainly because of the auto ignition kind of a thing. And it happens predominantly in an CI engine, that is called as a combustion, uh, what is your maybe what we call the compression ignition engine, that is your diesel engine. But similar kind of knocking, it's also called as detonation. So it's also called as engine knock. Okay. It is also called as engine knock. This happens in case of an SI engine. Okay. So why this particular detonation happens only in IC engine? See, both are kind of a knocking, but only thing is we are trying to give different name because of their phenomena. So if I take an IC engine, say for example, this is a cylinder of an IC engine, so your SI engine, let me take it's an SI engine. What will happen? So, so we have a spark plug here. Okay, this is a spark plug, and we have two valves here, and I do have the piston. Okay, piston will be moving from TDC to BDC, whatever it may be. Okay, piston is moving up. Then, so I'll be having the charge here. So the fuel air mixture is compressed and the piston is moving in this direction from BDC to TDC. Okay. While moving, the spark is produced. Okay, when the spark is produced, what will happen? The spark will ignite the fuel which is nearer to it actually. So we call that as a frame flint, something like this. Okay, a frame flint. So this frame flint get ignited and this will move in this direction. And so by the time this piston, see all this happens in microseconds or milliseconds. Okay, what I'm trying to explain, there's in many micro or milliseconds. But this particular frame front will go and ignite the other part of the unburned fuel mixture and automatically the combustion will take place. So that is your normal combustion. Okay. But sometimes what will happen, this pre-ignition fuel, see what will happen, this is continuously, this is called as a flame front. If suppose the cylinders or your maybe your fuel air mixture, it's also temperature of your fuel air mixtures before it piston reaches the scheduled spark plug for the ignition, there will be a slight explosion because of auto ignition. Okay, so mainly because of the air, so there will be an auto ignition because of the temperature of the fuel air mixture itself. Okay, so because of the temperature fuel air mixture itself, which may be higher than the temperature which was produced by spark plug. So what will happen in that case actually? The flame front, see the flame front will move in uncontrolled fashion. Okay, it was supposed to move in this direction, but flame will start moving in uncontrolled fashion. It is trying to expand your cylinders. What will happen? Maybe because of the pressure rise, because of the uncontrolled pressure rise, the cylinder will start. Maybe it's something like it's a bomb explosion. Okay, so this is called as detonation. Okay, because the the type of forces, the forces what we get at this condition is the forces, that is maybe your centrifugal or whatever it may be, it will be roughly around 8 to 10 times the normal force what you used to get from the regular combustion. 8 to 10 times the normal combustion process. So this will cause a sudden expansion of your engine, or sudden, maybe you can call it a sudden, maybe sudden explosion kind of a thing which happens in your SI engine, and we call that as detonation. Okay. So why this detonation is caused? Okay. So if I look at it, detonation is mainly caused by detonation is mainly caused by, maybe a couple of factors are there. What are the culprit? One, the excessive temperature or heat, excessive heat or temperature. Excessive temperature or heat. Okay. Then excessive cylinder pressure. Okay. The cylinder pressure is more than the required end. Excessive cylinder or your IC engine, that particular pressure inside. Okay. Sometimes this will happen because of if there is an improper spark ignition or ignition timing. So that's why I told that this has to be properly calibrated. Ignition time has to be properly calibrated. Or I told that you may be using a lower octane number fuel, lower octane number fuel. Or it may be all the combination of all these things. Or the combination of all these things, or maybe one more reason is sometimes your cylinders will be oversized. See, oversized, it has been, nowadays it has been optimized. Oversized cylinder is also one of the common causes of this particular detonation. It's also a knocking. See, all these things will produce some kind of an excessive pressure on your cylinder, giving a sudden sound. Whenever there is a sudden pressure rises there, so there is a immediately there is some kind of a noise will be there, and that noise is called as detonation, and it's also called as knocking in your IC, knocking in your SI engine. Okay, so you are giving a different name for it. Now, yesterday what I explained, it's a knocking in CI engine. That is mainly what will happen. It's mainly because of uncontrolled combustion. Uncontrolled combustion, which was supposed to due to mainly auto ignition. So what happens in a CI engine, we call that as a knocking, and what happens in an SI engine, we call that as a detonation. So that's how you can differentiate between. So the phenomena is the same. So the phenomena is the same. The only thing is actually, so what happens in an SI engine, it's called as detonation, and what happens in a CI engine, it's called as a knocking phenomenon. Is that clear? If someone has a difference, you can clearly write the definition. So maybe difference between these two things. Okay. So here we have come to the last two topics in your IC engines. Okay. One is measurements of the frictional power. Okay, measurement of frictional power. Measurement of frictional power. Okay, if you look at it, there are n number of methods are there. Okay, so maybe if I try to list it, actually, one is Willems line method. Willems line method. The second one is the Morse test. Okay, so the third one, maybe measuring your indicated power and brake power. Okay, indicated power and brake power measurement, we can find the frictional power. Maybe fourth method, if you look at it, we call it as motoring test, which was extensively used earlier. Okay, now the fifth one is the retardation test. Okay, retardation test. Okay, there are 5 methods. Just I am trying to list 5 different methods. But as per your syllabus, we are supposed to discuss on the Willems line method and the Morse test method. Okay. Let's try to discuss on this particular methods. Willems line method, what is it actually? This method. Willems line method. What is it actually? See, this method we also called as extrapolation method, fuel rate extrapolation method. What we try to do is actually, we try to measure the brake power of the engine. Okay, so we'll try to plot the brake power of the engine and the fuel consumption. So we'll try to measure the fuel consumption of that particular fuel, either in terms of maybe kg per second or grams per second, doesn't matter. Okay, if you want a smooth plot, you have to plot it in that particular thing. So we try to measure the first one is fuel consumption. We try to measure the fuel consumption of the engine. Fuel consumption of the engine. Either it can be in kg per second, or if you want a smooth plot, we'll go to grams per second or milligrams per second, whatever it may be, depending upon the size of the engine. The second thing what we are going to measure is, we are going to measure the brake power of the engine. Measure the brake power of the engine using any one of the dynamometer. We have the rope brake dynamometer, or maybe a disc dynamometer, or your electric dynamometer, whatever it may be. Okay, any kind of a dynamometer we use. So brake power of the engine is measured using the dynamometer in, so it can be in kilowatts or watts. Okay. So once you measure all these things, actually, we try to see, we'll say, for example, we are conducting an experiment on this kind of an engine. So we will be taking couple of readings actually. So if the fuel consumption is 200 cc, then 250 cc, 300 cc, 350 cc, like that. So we'll go for different testing. Okay, then what we try to do is actually, we try to plot actually. So we try to plot we try to plot on your x-axis. We have the fuel. See, on x-axis we have the fuel consumption, sorry, brake power. On y-axis we have the fuel consumption. So x-axis we will have the brake power, in either kilowatts or watts, depending upon the size of the engine. On y-axis, so we will be having the on y-axis, so we will be having the fuel consumption. Fuel consumption. So it can be in either kg per second or grams per second, doesn't matter, depend upon the size of the engine we try to do it. Now suppose we'll getting so many points actually. So we'll be getting, so the first one is actually, if you try to put it, maybe if you are having the brake power this as 0, so we'll go in kilowatts, maybe we'll go what, maybe 2 kilowatts, okay, 2 kilowatts, 4 kilowatts, like that we'll go, and we'll try to plot it. Okay, 2 kilowatts, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, some 14. Okay, so anyhow this is in kg per second, so the values are less actually. So we may start with 0.001, something like that, or 0.002, 0.004, 0.006, 0.008, 0.10, 0.12, 0.14, like that. So even this side also, so this is how you can, you have the x and y axis. Then what we will try to do actually, suppose at 0.04 I am getting some value as 2.5 or 3. Okay, I am going to measure the brake power. Okay, then I am going to get one more point like this. So I will try to say corresponding to fuel consumption, what is the brake power produced. Like this, I am going to plot, I am going to take the values of the reading from the engine. Okay, so once I have this actually, I will try to plot it. Okay, I will try to plot it. So all the lines are joined. Okay, so I have joined it. So what is Whelan's line method? So I told that it is the fuel rate extrapolation method. It's also known as fuel rate extrapolation method. What I'm going to do actually, I'm going to extrapolate, say the first point is there, no? That I'm going to extend it. So like this, I'm going to extend it. So I'm going to extend it to a point. It's a straight line. I'm going to extend it a particular point. Anyway, this is also power, what we have on the x-axis. So this point actually, this is your frictional power. I will measure it. So if it is 0, I'll try to measure on the same scale, whatever the scale I used on the x-axis, I will try to measure the same thing. And this is my frictional power. And I will tell that this is the frictional power of the engine. So this is nothing but negative axis. See, if it is a negative axis of your engine, this is the positive axis of your brake power. So that is the extrapolation value of your brake power will clearly give the indication of the frictional power. So this frictional power will be roughly around 15 to 20% of your engine what we are trying to run. So if the indicated power is something like 100 watts, so your frictional power should be around 15 to 20 watts. So if the frictional power is larger or bigger, then it indicates that the engine maybe engine is almost like it is aged. So with the use of that particular engine, the frictional, there is a lot of friction in the inside your piston, maybe your crankcase and all. This number will slowly start increasing. This line will become more and more flatter. See, if instead of this kind of a thing, suppose if I have got something like a line something like this. See, with an older engine, so I may be getting something like this. So it may be becoming a flatter, then your frictional power will increase. So the frictional power will increase if I get a flatter curve. So what's happening? So even though it's if the fuel consumption has come down, okay, or I may be getting a different curve actually, so the frictional power is getting reduced. So this kind of possibility is also there with the older engines. So older engines will have a flatter curve with, so if the curve is more little bit steep, then definitely your frictional power is bit reduced. So new engines will have this kind of whatever the plot I have plotted, no, you will have something plot in this particular fashion where your frictional power will be in and around 15%. Okay, it's called as an intercept. It's a negative intercept of this particular thing. So this is what we are going to get it, and this is called as, this method was proposed by Whelan. Okay, and he told that two things you measure: fuel consumption and brake power, and put it on axis and try to get it. Whatever the extrapolated value, what you are going to get, this is your frictional power. And this method is called as Whelan's line method. Is that clear? Any doubts? Okay, fine. So there are no doubts. We'll move to the next method, which is called as Morse test. Okay. So next method is called as Morse test. Second method, Morse test. And this Morse test is used for, see, measurement. See, this method is can be used only for a multi-cylinder engine. See, specifically, this is used for multi-cylinder engine. If you go to our internal combustion lab, maybe as soon as you enter to the right hand side, we have a two-cylinder engine. Okay, two-cylinder diesel engine is there where you are going to do the Morse test. Okay, so Morse test is specifically for a multi-cylinder. So at least a minimum of two cylinders should be there. Okay, what it is actually, see here, we will try to calculate, see, we will try to find, see, the Morse test consists of obtaining the indicated power of the engine. okay, without any using elaborate equipments. Okay, now what is it actually? How can I find the indicated power of any engine? See, the indicated power is actually what is it actually? It is called as IP. So as I told, say let's take a 3-cylinder engine. Let us consider a a 3-cylinder engine. 3-cylinder engine. Let us consider a 3-cylinder engine. So now what it is actually, if I try to measure the IP of any engine actually, so it is indicated power. So what it is actually, so IP of all the three engine will be, if I call it as IP1 plus IP2 plus IP3. IP3. This is the indicator. What it is actually, if you try to look at it, it is the sum of IP, where if I take some I is equal to 1 to K. Why it is it's taken 3 engines actually. So here the K value is equal to 3. If I go for a multiple cylinder engine, say 10-cylinder engine, I can now I is equal to 1 to 10. That's how I can write. Now, how I can measure the IP of the engine? Okay. Now, if I want to do that, what I'm going to do actually, I have a methodology. What are the methodology? First, I'm going to run the engine. Okay, I'm going to run the engine. So this methodology can be run for maybe a CI engine, compressed ignition engine, or a spark ignition engine. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to cut off one after the other engines. That means if there is a 3-cylinder engine, so first we will run all the 3 engines and we'll try to find the brake power of it. Okay, we'll try to find the brake power of it. Then we will supply if it is an IC engine, if it's a SI engine, we'll short circuit the spark plug, or we won't, one of the engine is cut off. How we can do that actually? We will have a short circuit of the spark plug. That means it won't produce any spark. So one cylinder is gone. So what will happen? I will be having two engines which will be running and producing the power. Then what I will do, I will try to cut off both the 2 cylinders. First cylinder and second cylinder, I will be running the engine with the third cylinder. So like this, one after the other, I will be cutting off the spark or short circuiting the spark if it is an SI engine, or cutting off the fuel supply if it is a CI engine. So first cylinder, I will cut off the fuel supply. Second cylinder, I will cut off the fuel supply. So 1, 2, 3, like that if I do, I'll be able to find the power of that particular engine. Okay, I'll be able to find the power of that particular engine. Okay, so if we try to write, say for example, what it is actually, your IP, that is your sum of, say I is equal to 1 to K is equal to 3. If it is IP, it is K. This is equal to your brake power of all the engines, that is, if you call it as brake power of the total plus frictional power of the engine. So let me call this as equation number 1 and equation number 2. So this is what this particular thing. So now, as I told that, if it is an IC, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off the engine. Okay, I'm going to cut off the engine. Say if it's a 3-cylinder engine, if the first cylinder is cut off, what will happen? If the first cylinder is cut off, if the first cylinder is cut off, but still it will be running. See, only the power produced by the first cylinder will be cut off. If the first cylinder is cut off, then it will not produce any power. So it will not produce any power. Okay, but what about the frictional losses? See, frictional losses will remain the same. See, the frictional losses or the frictional power will remain same. It's not going to change because still I'm running. All the 3 cylinders are running. The only thing is like I am not producing the power from one of the engine. So then what I can do actually, I'll be able to write see, I will write I is equal to 2 to k is equal to 3 is equal to, so it is only brake power of the first engine, one engine, minus your frictional power. Okay, sorry, frictional power. Okay, this is how you can do. Now, what is your IP of the engine? So if this is, if I call this as equation number 3. So this is the equation of this particular thing. Now, if you try to see, any of this frictional power will remain the same. So what I want to do actually, what is the IP of the first engine? So now the indicated power of the first engine is found by difference of this. So what it is actually, that is I is equal to 1 to k is equal to 3. This is of IP of all the engines, minus this is for I is equal to, because first cylinder is cut off, so only have 2 engines. So IP of the k, so this is nothing but IP of the first cylinder, difference of that, what is the IP of the first cylinder I am getting. Okay, this is equal to your BT plus FT minus of B1 minus FT. So frictional power automatically they get off. So I will be getting the total brake power which I am trying to measure from the engine minus brake power what I am getting from the equation 3. So from this actually I will trying to, so if I call this as equation number 4, I am trying to measure the indicated power of the first cylinder. Okay, indicated power of the first cylinder. So I can use a similar methodology. Say if I try to measure the indication, if I go for the second cylinder, okay, if the second cylinder is cut off, if the second cylinder is cut off, so no power from the second cylinder, that is second cylinder and the first cylinder both. So if the first and second cylinder, if the first and second cylinder is cut off, so there is no power from the first and second cylinder. First and second cylinder. Okay. Then what I will do actually, if I repeat the same procedure, so what I'll be getting, it will be sigma I is equal to this 3 to k is equal to 3. This will be equal to what I am getting actually, this will be B3, okay, plus FT. Okay. So this is, if I call this is equation number 5. Okay, now if I try to find the difference between your equation 2 and this thing, I'll be getting IP2. So IP2 and IP3. This is for IP3. So similarly, I can do for I is equal to, yeah, 3 cylinders. So I got this IP2 and IP1 and IP2. So similarly, if I do this procedure, so I'll be getting all these. See, the procedure is illustrated. So this procedure is IP1. I'll be getting. Then same procedure is repeated. I'll be getting IP2 is equal to your brake power minus B2. Okay. So I'll be getting the equation 5. This is first and second cylinder. So here if I try to do the second cylinder, I'll be getting the IP of this particular thing. Okay. Then if I try to do the same procedure is repeated, I call this as equation 6. Same procedure is repeated. So I'll be getting IP3 is equal to brake total minus your B3. I call this as equation number 7. This is what. Then how to find the frictional power? So frictional power, as I told, so frictional power is given by frictional power is given by, okay, that is Ft, which is equal to, see, IP1 plus IP2 plus IP3 minus of your brake power. So I'll be able to find the frictional power using the equation number 8. The only thing is actually you have to cut off one after the other. Your IC engines, first cylinder, second cylinder, and then your third cylinder. So if I try to cut off the third cylinder, no power is produced. Okay, first cylinder, two cylinders or three cylinder, whatever it may be, one of the cylinders has to be cut off. Either if it is a SI engine, the spark plug has to be cut off. If it's a CI engine, you have to cut off the fuel supply. Do this particular thing and try to calculate your IP. So indicated power. Once you get your IP, IP1, IP2, add up all the things, you will get your indicated power of all the combined engines minus the brake power what you are getting from your dynamometer of all the three engines combined together, three engines or four engines, whatever it may be. So difference of it, you will get your frictional power, because the frictional power doesn't change even though if there is a cutoff, because you are still running that engine. This is how you can measure the frictional power using Whelan's line method or your Morse test method. Is that clear? Any doubts?